What if Sasuke died in Naruto? Naruto Uzumaki, hero of the Hidden Leaf, child of prophecy, 7th Hokage. This is the ninja who taught us one of the greatest lessons of our lives, how to never give up, even when it gets hard. Naruto never had a very good life, orphaned on the day of his birth, living as an outcast from the village, loved by no one, hated by everyone. But he kept believing it, and tried his hardest in spite of these things, and in the end, gained everything he dreamed of. But what if it had been different? What if Naruto stopped believing? What if he gave up? What if he gave in to the darkness in his heart and his resentment to the village that had driven him away? This is a question that even Naruto asked at one point in time. And so we're going to let our imaginations run wild and try to see what it would have been like if a single moment had been different, setting him down a totally different path. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, we publish a new video every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. The Amagi's reach stretches beyond just this channel, so if you're a fan of us, please consider subscribing to our other channels and following us on all of our social media accounts. Help us reach our goal of passing 100,000 followers on all of our accounts by the end of the year. Our story begins in a very familiar way. Naruto vandalizes the monument to the previous Hokage. He fails to pass his exam, he steals the Scroll of Seals, and eventually perfects his Shadow Clone Jutsu. He eventually is assigned to Team 7 and ends up going on his first mission to the Land of Waves, where he and the rest of Team 7 face Haku and Zabuza. Everything goes the same way until Sasuke's battle with Haku. Naruto jumps into the mirror dorm formed by Haku's demonic mirroring ice crystals. Unable to escape, Naruto and Sasuke take a beating, and just as Haku is about to kill Naruto with his Senbon, Sasuke jumps in the way. However, due to a wound he would have received in his leg, Sasuke falters a bit, causing one of Haku's Senbons to strike his heart. Sasuke hits the ground, and Naruto believes Sasuke to be dead. And due to how he was struck, he is. Naruto's emotions go out of control, and the Ninetales begins to take over. He begins to attack Haku, eventually breaking his mask and revealing the boy he had met earlier. He stops his assault, however, Haku still perishes as Kakashi attempts to kill Zabuza. After hearing Naruto's words about Haku, Zabuza turns and kills Gato and his men before dying himself. Returning to where Sakura was, however, they find that Sasuke was dead and had died defending Naruto. Sakura is heartbroken. Her love has perished. Naruto feels sorry about this and says as much. Sakura would then turn and scold him, telling Naruto how it was his fault that Sasuke died. She shouts at him that if he hadn't interfered, Sasuke would have won, and she then wonders why it had to be Sasuke that died and not Naruto. This strikes Naruto hard. At a point, he begins to believe it. If he had not jumped into the Mirror Dome, Sasuke wouldn't have had to protect him, and that marked twice that Sasuke had needed to protect Naruto. First with the Demon Brothers and now Haku. From here, Naruto's relationship with Sakura grows more distant, as she continues to blame him for Sasuke's death. Kakashi tries to bridge the gap between his shattered team, but it's looking near impossible for Sakura to ever forgive Naruto. The Chunin exams wouldn't be too far after this though. Naruto would still be upset about Sasuke as well as Sakura, but he still would consider joining the exams. But since their teams no longer had a third member, neither Naruto nor Sakura could enter the exams. That being said, the entirety of the Chunin exams was used as a cover by the Hidden Sand and Hidden Sound to invade Konoha. Given that Sasuke would not be present here, Gaara would likely make it to the finals and complete his mission to release Shukaku in the middle of the stadium. Orochimaru would also release his snakes to punch a hole in village security. All the while, Orochimaru's attempts to kill his own mentor. Of course, he succeeds, however, prior to dying, Hiruzen uses the Reaper Death Seal to take use away from Orochimaru's arms. In the end, the combined effort of the village, Kakashi's Sharingan allowing him to manage Genjutsu and Shukaku, and the defeat of Orochimaru brings the village back to an uneasy peace. However, it is decimated. With their Hokage murdered, they're in a vulnerable position. But things get worse for Naruto. Ever since the attack of Shukaku at the Chunin exams, people's hate for Naruto has increased, due to him also being a Jinchuriki much like Gaara. He faces violence in the streets as villagers are almost to the point of murdering him to get rid of the Ninetales. Naruto has always been hated, but at this point, he's become weak. Angry even. It's at this point that I could see an image in my head of Naruto sitting beside his bed, his eye blackened, his lip busted, just crying because now he can't even go out to Ichiraku Ramen without people throwing bottles and trash at him. Kakashi visits to see how he's holding up, brings him some food and ramen, but Naruto isn't in the mood. Kakashi realizes that this is the first time he's ever seen Naruto cry over his circumstances. He offers some advice and some kind words, but Naruto fires back, stating that he's never been able to do anything right, citing his continued failure at the academy and his failure to protect himself from the Demon Brothers, and ultimately his failure to protect Sasuke, and even begins to talk about how he really is a nine-tailed demon fox because all he seems to do is cause people pain. Unable to combat these feelings, Kakashi would eventually leave. Naruto would be left to himself for a while until he eventually is met by Jiraiya, who has come to realize that he's the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. He offers to train Naruto, but Naruto has become so down that, at first, he refuses, believing he's only a screw-up, but after enough convincing, Jiraiya manages to get him to train with him. After some time passes, Naruto seems to be getting better at controlling the Nine-Tails chakra, which causes Naruto's morale to rise a bit. But Naruto assumes his version 2 state and faces the harsh reality that he can still fail. In his subconscious, he speaks with Kurama, who continually reminds Naruto of his failures, ripping open old wounds and creating new ones. In the end, Naruto finds himself unable to stop himself, and he ends up killing Jiraiya. As he dies, Jiraiya realizes that he's found the Child of Prophecy, and this child will destroy the world. When Naruto wakes, he finds that he's killed the one who had just spent 2 years training him, and in his mind, all he hears are the words of Kurama telling him how he always fails, how nobody cares, and how he's forever destined to be bonded to the Demon Fox. In tears, Naruto is unsure what to do. In the back of his mind, he wants to kill himself for what he's allowed to happen. Nobody has ever really cared about him, and those few that have, he's killed. He hoped that in doing so, he can take the Demon Fox with him, but he can't. He removes his Konoha headband, and the symbol of everything he thought he wanted, now tainted. He throws it away and goes into self-exile. Eventually, Gaara ends up captured by the Akatsuki. They remove Shukaku from him, and Gaara dies. Understanding the implications of this, the 5th Hokage, Danzo Shimura, sends Kakashi to retrieve his student. However, Kakashi never finds Naruto, and Naruto is marked as a missing nin. From here, Naruto finds himself hunted by both the Hidden Leaf Village and the Akatsuki. He has nowhere to go. He's found by Kabuto. Naruto at first thinks he's been found by the Hidden Leaf and refuses to go back, but Kabuto informs him that he's working with another village and references his headband. He invites Naruto back to the Hidden Sound, and at first Naruto disagrees, mentioning how Jiraiya had told him about Orochimaru and his hand in the 3rd Hokage's death. But Kabuto begins to play on Naruto's insecurities and calls it a place where the outcasts live. After some time, Naruto submits and follows Kabuto back to the Hidden Sound. Kabuto brings him before Orochimaru. Naruto at first is extremely hostile, but Orochimaru begins to spin a tale about his own past, about how he had been an orphan, how he had witnessed the deaths of his parents, and how he never fit in with the people of Konoha. Naruto, now more open to his ideas, listened to what Orochimaru had to say. Orochimaru told him that all holders of the tailed beasts were being hunted by the Akatsuki, and that the Hidden Leaf had branded Naruto a missing nin. He tells Naruto that they must grow stronger together, and plants upon Naruto the cursed seal of heaven. Naruto trains with this, and after a while manages to evolve it to its 2nd stage, gaining darker skin and even wings. All the while, Orochimaru continues to plot. He had originally wanted Sasuke, the last survivor of the Uchiha, but since he had died, he had decided on Naruto. It had been that Orochimaru didn't want to take in the Jinchuriki due to how the Akatsuki were targeting them. But he saw in Naruto some incredible potential. After all, this had been the one who killed Jiraiya, and that wasn't an easy feat. If he could manage to get the power of the Nine-Tails for himself, he may enter a new realm of power he had never considered before. However, it is long after that he realizes that Kabuto had been brainwashed by Sasori. In the end, they go to kill Sasori, only to find that it was Yamato. At this time, a battle ensues. Sakura aids Yamato as the Sai who had newly been assigned to Team 7. Due to the mission involving Naruto, a fact they learned from Sasori, they send Team Guy as well to aid Yamato, Sakura, and Sai. It had come to their realization through what Kabuto had said to Sasori that Naruto was currently in the possession of Orochimaru, and they had hoped to rescue him. Sai infiltrates Orochimaru's hideout as he had before, and was intent on capturing Naruto and bringing him back to the Hidden Leaf. Naruto doesn't realize this, assuming Sai to be another outcast. Eventually, he makes his move and the two fight. Naruto uses his Cursed Seal's 2nd stage to combat Sai. Sai is impressed with the power and skill Naruto has developed over his years away from the village, stating that according to Sakura, Naruto could never do anything right, and yet here he was, facing off against him. Eventually, Sakura, Yamato, and Team Guy arrive on the scene and attempt to take Naruto. Naruto eventually learns that his Cursed Seal isn't going to get him through this. Suddenly, in his head, he hears Kurama's voice, telling him to take more of his power. Naruto is hesitant as Sakura was there, but Kurama reminds him of how she hates him, and how she's only there to drag him back to Konoha, where Naruto will likely have Kurama stripped from him and killed. Naruto's sense of self-preservation overpowers the feelings he once felt for the kunoichi. Naruto calls on the power of the Nine Tails and begins to use his tailed beast mode. However, with Might Guy in the field, even this is making it hard to gain victory, and so Naruto attempts to completely remove the seal in hopes that Kurama will save him. However, the spirit of Minato Namikaze shows up to stop his son and reinforces the seal. He asks Naruto what he's doing. Naruto states that he has no choice and is just trying to survive. He tells Minato how he got Sasuke killed and how he murdered Jiraiya by accident, and how he's been hated and hunted by the village. Minato tells him that he needs to face it head on and make it right, but Naruto responds that they will kill him. He tells Minato he never wanted this. All he ever wanted was to be a shinobi and maybe one day become Hokage, but because he was the host of the Nine Tails, he's never had a moment of normalcy. He's been alone and hated his entire life. These words break Minato's heart, who asks his son's forgiveness for putting the tailed beast into him and condemning him to this life. But Naruto didn't forgive. Naruto blamed Minato for this, and now with the seal on Kurama reinforced, Naruto had lost his tailed beast mode. He ends up captured and brought back to Konoha. Kakashi tries his best to get leniency for Naruto, but Danzo is not a merciful man. Believing that Naruto is a threat to the village, he plans to have the Nine Tails taken from him and put into another host. Naruto was in prison. Itachi would often come to visit him along with Kakashi. These were the only two people in the village that Naruto might call his friends. And so Naruto remained there until an attack began on the village. Its source? A particular group of ninja wearing black coats with red clouds on them. Each one covered in plaque receivers and each one possessing a set of rippling eyes. They went across the entire village asking where is the Nine Tails. Slowly, the village fell to ruin. The ninja all slowly eradicated. Danzo orders Naruto to be moved. They can't risk Naruto being taken. Danzo then finds himself face to face with the Devapath. He recognizes the strangeness in his eyes and desires that for himself. He faces off against Pain but is outclassed. The abilities to control attractive and repulsive forces seem near unbeatable, but Danzo has some tricks up his own sleeve. Literally, he begins to use the Izanagi to consistently escape fate, but in the end, Pain is victorious, and Danzo meets his fate. Naruto is about to be escorted out, but he's intercepted by one of the paths. There, Kakashi and Itachi meet their fates, which rocks Naruto to his core. In one last attempt to save Naruto, Hinata appears and attempts to free him and hold off the path so he can escape. However, she's killed. Naruto's emotions go out of control and he enters his tailed beast state. He quickly progresses through his transformations all the way to the 8th tail. Here, he manages to destroy Ashura and Human Path, but the Deva Path manages to stop Naruto using Chibaku Tensei. Within his subconscious, Naruto once more attempts to remove the seal, but this time, Minato is nowhere to be seen. Naruto removes the seal and Kurama comes out fighting. Naruto attempts to face off against the Nine Tails, but he has very little hope of winning. Kushina suddenly appears to aid Naruto. Naruto looks back but has no time to speak. Kushina aids Naruto by covering Kurama in her chains and then allows Naruto to create his shadow clones and enter his second cursed seal of heaven state. Creating a giant Rasengan, Naruto smashes it into the tailed beast's head and dazes him. Kushina then tells Naruto to steal the Nine Tails chakra. Naruto begins to pull and eventually strips Kurama of his chakra. Kurama is then resealed. Kushina tells Naruto the basics of what happened and what it means. He can now use Kurama's chakra as he needs, but to be careful, he must shelve his own chakra in this mode, and it risks Kurama taking his chakra and killing Naruto. For a moment, Kushina speaks to her son and tells him that she's sorry that she couldn't be there for him, and says she understands what it's like to be the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. Naruto responds by telling her that she has no idea what it's like. He tells her that despite her having been a host of the beasts, she never had to face the hatred he faced, and even worse, he had to face it alone. At this point, he doesn't blame her for his being an orphan, but he does tell her that his life would have been so much easier if he had been born to someone else. Kushina is almost driven to tears by the statement, but she holds together. She tells him that no matter what, she still loves him, and lets him go. Naruto then manages to break free of the Chibaku Tensei and produces 3 shadow clones. Together, they face off against the remnants of the 6 paths and defeat them. Then, using the chakra rods, Naruto locates Nagato. Nagato and Naruto speak for a moment, both sharing a bond through Jiraiya, speak of their meetings and past. Nagato finds kinship in Naruto, knowing he has also known Pain, and that Pain has revealed to him the truth of this world. Nagato hopes that Naruto will join up with him, mentioning that with the hidden leaf gone, he will no longer be hunted by anyone. but Naruto refuses, stating that there were 3 people in the Hidden Leaf that did actually love him, and those 3 were murdered by Pain, something Naruto can't forgive. Pain asks if Naruto hates him, and Naruto tells him he does. He then rushes forward, killing Konan, who attempted to defend Nagato, and then snuffs out the life of the 7th Pain, the true Pain. Naruto decides he'll face the Akatsuki head-on instead of running, and with the power of the Nine Tails, he believes he cannot be defeated. Time passes, and Tobi retrieves the Rinnegan from the body of Nagato and implants it into his own head and decides to begin his own plan. The Akatsuki fight to make the rest of the tailed beasts and are successful. However, many come for Naruto and fail. In the end, when Naruto's chakra mode appears to be too much, Obito continues with his plan. Summoning the Geto statue from the moon, he begins to infuse it with all 8 of the other tailed beasts. Eventually, Obito tracks Naruto down and challenges him to a battle. Naruto faces off against Obito, but Obito summons the Geto statue and uses the chakra chains to capture Naruto and begins to suck the Nine Tails out of Naruto. The statue takes in the Nine Tails, and Naruto is left on the ground. He looks to the sky as the god tree blooms and laments that this ever happened, lamenting his birth, lamenting his lack of family, friends, acceptance. For this moment, his entire life flashes before his eyes, and he realizes that it really sucked. At this time, Naruto almost accepts his demise with happiness. Maybe he can find someone who loves him on the other side. Maybe his parents will be willing. And with that, his eyes close and he breathes his last. Obito, now with the completed 10 tails, absorbs it, becoming its Jinchuriki, and in a twist that is rather expected, is betrayed by Zetsu, causing Kaguya Otsutsuki to take over his body. With her revived, she would have used the 10 tails to retrieve all the chakra on Earth within every living being, resulting in the total eradication of humanity on Earth. Listen, all of this is just my take on what could have happened if a single Senbon had been out of place. The death of Sasuke during the Land of Waves arc could have caused the butterfly effect that results in Naruto losing the one thing that kept him going. It's almost too sad to think of a possible future where Naruto was never cared about. That was perhaps one of the hardest parts of the series, seeing how much of an outcast he was, how nobody cared or loved him. But that was what made it so thrilling when he found his true friends, people he would die for and would return the favor if ever asked. The possibility that there was a possible future where none of that ever happened, where he remained alone forever, is almost soul-crushing. As sad as this was, I do hope you enjoyed, and I hope it gives you a better appreciation of the series and its events as told originally. What do you think? Is this how you think it would have played out? What do you think would have happened if Sasuke had died that day in the battle against Haku? Do we want you to comment and tell us about it? You better believe it. Like, subscribe, and ring that bell to be notified when more content like this drops. Leave an F in the chat for our favorite gutsy ninja's tragic AU. Peace.